I'm Michael McCullough, and I'd like to speak to you today about the Epiphone Sorrento. The Sorrento is the same guitar as the ES-125T. It's a thin line cutaway guitar. It has maple back and sides and rims. It has a mahogany neck on it. The neck joins the body at the 15th fret. The difference between a Sorrento and a 125T is that the 125 has a P90 pickup, whereas the Sorrento has a mini humbucker. I think it's a better sounding pickup for the guitar. The Sorrentos tend to have, they can have wooden bridges. They tend to come with the metal bridges. And it has the same trapeze tailpiece, same button tuners, same neck and body. It's really the pickup that makes the difference in these guitars. As far as the sound concerned, they sound like other hollow body Gibson electrics. They have a nice tone to them. The mini humbuckers can vary in sound and tone just like the humbuckers can, but maybe even more so because they were hand wound and because the mini humbucker is not as strong as the full-size humbucker pickup, especially at loud volumes. There's a lot of variance in the sound of these pickups. So if you're buying a vintage guitar with a mini humbucker, you probably want to hear it first, because as you'll hear in these guitars, I have three examples with me today, they sound a little different. This is a 1960. The models came in blonde or sunburst, and at a certain point in the early 60s, they added an olive green burst, and then eventually in around 65 or 66, they added a red. That's the 1960. I also have a 1961 in sunburst. It's the same exact guitar, same tortoiseshell guard, same patent pending mini humbucker, ABR1 bridge, Maestro tailpiece, button tuners. Same exact guitar, 1961. Sounds about the same as this guitar, maybe a little different. What happens next with this guitar is in 1962 or 3, so late 62, early 63, the headstock changes. The early 60, 59, late 59, 60, 61 into 62, you have this metal bikini logo, which is, as it's called. And the headstock is a shorter, squattier headstock. What happens in 62 to 63 is that the headstock elongates. So I have a 65 example here. And as you can see, the headstock goes from the squattier, shorter headstock to a longer headstock. The plate goes away and you have a silkscreen Epiphone logo. The other thing that changes is the ovals. You have dot markers on the neck up till 62, late 62, early 63, you have the oval markers. Same mini humbucker, same ABR1 bridge, and the Maestro tailpiece. The pick guards tend to go to white instead of the tortoise. The earlier guitars usually have a tortoise. white with the Epiphone logo, which is a little different. As far as the sound is concerned, this guitar sounds, again, a little different than the other two. Here in this guitar is actually, this pickup is louder and it has a little more grit to it. It's a little more aggressive than the other. The other pickup's a little softer. But these are great guitars to play. They're great sounding guitars. It's a little tough if you're playing very high up on the neck. The body joins the neck at the 15th fret. But they're great playing guitars. They sound great. Great necks, and the neck profiles are the same as other Gibson guitars. The 60s, late 59, 60, 61 tend to be very thin bladey necks. 62, 63, 64 tend to be a little bigger, and then 65 gets even bigger, so it's even chunkier neck. The other thing that changes in 65 and in Epiphone, sometimes in 64, is that the nut width changes from 1 11/16 to 1 9/16. It's barely noticeable to me. I play both size nuts on my guitars, and I don't see much of a difference. There's a little bit of a difference, but not much of a difference. Now, I mentioned 64. A lot of the changes you see in Gibson happen in Epiphone first. So on many of the Epiphone guitars, not all, but many, the nut width shrinks in 1964. On Gibson guitars, it's almost certainly 1965. Epiphone happens a little earlier. So when you're buying a 64 Epiphone, you have to check the nut width, because a lot of times the nut will be the 1 9/16 nut. Great playing guitars. As far as the market is concerned, there is a little premium paid for the earlier guitars. So the 60, 61, 62 guitars will be a little more expensive than the later guitars. But the 65 is a great guitar, even though it has the slightly more narrow neck. Great playing guitar, great sounding guitar, fun to play. Thanks for listening.